I'm pleased to say we're joined by one half of Team Sweden at this year's World Cup of Darts, Oskar Lukasiak. Thanks for the time, Oskar. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Yep, it's fine here, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, and when we're talking, it's just over a week before you make the trip back to Frankfurt to play in the World Cup for a second time. You had a great debut last year, making the quarterfinals with Dennis Nilsson. What are the expectations like this time round, and with a new partner as well in Jeffrey de Graaf, who is on the tour at the moment?
Yeah, my expectations is I'm hoping to do the same at least. I just saw the draw for like 5 minutes ago, so it's possible to go through the group and see what's happened after that.
Well, we'll come back to the World Cup last year, but lots to chat to you about. Let's go right back to where it all started for you in darts. I read you started playing at the age of 9, so how did you get introduced to darts?
It is because my parents had a dart club here in Sweden, and they needed another person in the team, so that's how I started. Like hour before the league game when I was 9.
And so you got thrown in at the deep end there, playing for a team. Do you remember much about that debut?
I have only seen the results afterwards, and I know that I lost my single game with 2-3 in legs, so it was a close one, but...
Well, just 3 years later, you were making history, throwing a 9-darter at the Denmark Open. This was back in 2004. How quickly did your level improve from when you first started to then being able to produce darts like that in a tournament at such a short period of time? Was it a natural talent, or were you putting in lots of hours on the practice board back then?
I did a lot of hours at the dart club because I was there almost all the time, and we had one person over there that gave me like £1 for every leg I won against him. So that's did some inspiration for me, and then just playing a lot against older people and a lot of practice.
And on that 9-darter, you were the youngest player at the age of just 12 to throw a 9-darter in a competition. This year it's 20 years on from that perfect leg. How often do you still get asked about it these days, and just what was it like to be the person to do that?
I still get the questions all the time of it, but to be honest, I don't remember so much from back then. I was just a little kid, and I was so focused on the game. So,
20 years on, are you still the youngest, or have you heard of anyone younger than that throwing a 9-darter in a tournament?
I know that I'm the youngest official in our official game. And I don't know if someone else have done it in a pub or something, but it's an official tournament. I'm the youngest. So.
Well, fast forward a few months and you're playing in the World Masters. Am I right in saying that you got an exemption to play in the boys singles, as I think you were only 12 at the time and the minimum age was 13 to play in the World Masters?
Yeah, that's true. And that was because they moved the tournament like 1 week earlier. If it should be like the normal week they had, then I was 13, so it was just a few days before my 13th birthday. The win in Denmark was also a good thing about it.
Definitely, and you went on to win that title as well, becoming the first Swedish player to win the World Masters. More titles would follow. The Latvian Open men's title at the age of 15. At 16, you were representing Sweden in events like the Nordic Cup. What are your memories of that time and having all that success as well?
I knew that I could play a good darts, but my aim was so high back then that I wanted really to play with the best people in the world, and just aiming for that all the time. So I had a lot of practice to get there and a lot of tournaments to play.
And for you, what does it mean to put on that Sweden shirt and play for your country? Because it's something that you've been doing a lot of over the years, from those early years, WDF, Europe Cups, World Cups, now the PDC World Cup as well. How special is it to represent your country in darts?
It's almost always special to play with us. You have your country in the back, and you feel like you have all the people backing you up. So it's definitely something special to play in the national team.
Well, Well, let's get back to your individual career. And as a youngster, we just spoke about it. You had a lot of success. You were being tipped as someone who would go to the very top. Was it difficult to handle that pressure? What were the main challenges you found when trying to make that next step from a promising youngster to then trying to get onto that professional scene?
It was really difficult because suddenly I turned 18 and quit the school, and then I needed to make my own money to get to the tournaments. I started to work a lot, so I didn't have so much time at the dartboard anymore. So that's why I didn't show up for a few years, I think.
And we look at the dart scene now, obviously it's a lot different. There's a lot more opportunities for youngsters. We think of the development tour, that's been a big breeding ground of top young talent. Do you think if that would have been around back then that you would have made that jump a bit more quicker?
I think so. I think it will be a little bit easier to get the jump up because to play against the good people, the great people all around the world all the time is something special.
And I was reading somewhere earlier they had your nickname down as the Wonder Boy. Is that true?
Yeah, that was my early nickname, but I don't use it right now. So.
Are you just running with no nickname at the moment?
Yeah, no nickname for me right now, so we'll see. Maybe someday I will have one.
Fair enough. Well, fast forward to 2017, we see you go to Q School, then we often see you on the Nordic and Baltic Tour up until 2020 when the pandemic hits. Did you take a break from darts then, or were you a player that took up online darts and played a lot at home during the lockdowns?
Actually, I quit darts at the pandemic. It was too much right before that, so just before that I told my team manager for Sweden that I didn't want to play for the Swedish team anymore. So I was just tired of darts. I took like 1.5 years break from it. And when the pandemic was almost over, I started to play again.
What was the inspiration behind getting the darts back out of the case and playing again?
Actually, it was just some friends that wanted me to play some league games and some local tournaments. And I said, we can try it. We'll see what happens. So I didn't practice anything. I just played and still make it to like semi-finals and some darts like that. Yeah.
You picked up your level pretty soon after having that break?
Yeah, it felt like that.
Well, after that disrupted few years with the pandemic, you said there you took a break from darts. A lot of darts came back in 2022. We saw you back playing on the Nordic and Baltic Tour and again last year as well. How did you find getting back playing on that circuit after a break from it?
I have always liked to play international plate darts, so I just wanted to try the PDC Nordic and Baltic, how it will feel again to play against the best people in our region. But I didn't practice anything back then. I just went for tournaments and see what happens.
Well, off the hockey last year, we saw you've signed up with the darts manufacturer Mission. What was it that attracted you to Mission and persuaded you to sign with them?
One big thing was that it was Daryl Fitton, who was my contact person over there. And I have been spoken to him like 20 years, but never in the darts thing like that. But just, he wanted me to sign with them, and I felt like it could make my career even better. So that's why.
And that was around this time last year, just before the World Cup, you signed up with Mission. What darts are you throwing with at the moment? Do you have your own prototypes for Mission? How close are we to seeing them on sale?
Yeah, I'm playing with my prototypes right now. Hopefully they will come in a few months.
We'll keep an eye out for that. And we saw you on the stage a few times last year as well, starting with the Euro Tour. What was it like getting to play on that PDC stage for the first time?
It was a really big thing for me. I wanted to play in front of the crowd for, I don't know, a lot of years. And to get the chance to do it in Germany against Gabriel Clemens. It was something special.
And then a few months later, it was you and again someone that you've known for a long time, Dennis Nilsson, teaming up for Sweden at the World Cup. Last year we saw the brand new format with it being pairs all the way through. How nerve-wracking was that second group game with Italy where the winner would advance and the loser was going home?
It was really nerve-wracking. But I was more nervous in the first round, actually. But it was a tough game against Italy, and luckily I hit the last double in the end. So.
Yeah, you and Dennis beat the Italians 4-3 to get through to the knockout stage, and again you put in another impressive performance to beat Canada 8-5. You're into that final day on the Sunday. What was it like walking into the venue on that Sunday and still being in the mix for the title?
It was nice. It felt like we didn't have any pressure on us. We just, after the group stage, we just played like we wanted to do, and we told to each other that we have no pressure. It's we know that we can play good together and we can do something special on the board. And,
Yeah, and we saw that in the quarterfinals as well, running the eventual champions Wales close as well, just losing out 8-5. After that weekend, did that give you the belief to try and push on and enter more things like Q School and Challenge Tour, which we've seen you in this year?
I wanted to play the Q School just to get the chance to play the Challenge Tour this year. The Challenge Tour started really well, and then I got a lot of chances to play in the Player Championships as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. What a start it was on the Challenge Tour, winning the title on your first weekend, as you mentioned, getting some call-ups to the Players Championships. What have those experiences been like, being in those Players Championships, and I guess getting a taste of what life is like on the tour?
It has been really good. I went there just for experience and tried to do my best. When I started to notice that I could beat some of the players, or really good players over there. It's just experience, and I'm playing like with no pressure on me because I don't have the tour card, and I'm just there for the experience.
Yeah, you mentioned you've had some good wins, a few scalps already, beating the likes of Dave Chisnell and Joe Cullen. Are there any wins which stick out for you so far, or any moments in games from those events that you're most fond of?
I think the most I'm proud of is the first win, and that was against Dave Chisnell. I think it was 6-2 as well.
And away from the tour, a good start to the season on the Nordic and Baltic Tour. You've had a couple of finals. You're third on that order of merit. The top two qualify for Ali Pali. We've still got 2 weekends of events to go. How much of a goal is that for you to get to the World Championship this year?
My goal before the season was top 5, to be honest. And now that I have a good chance for the World Championship as well, of course I'm going for it, but it's really difficult because the top 2 have won a few tournaments, so they are a little bit in front. But still, I'm just doing my best and see what happens.
Well, we've got a couple of questions from our listeners before we let you go. The first one from M. Corser. He wants to ask you about that Challenge Tour title that you won this year. What was it like winning that event?
It was really something special. It meant a lot to do it in the first weekend, because I know that if I doing well on that weekend, I can play a lot of the championships as well. And to win a Challenge Tour with all the good players in the room it's almost like winning a biggest tournament in WDF or something. It's really difficult.
And the last one comes from John Thompson, who says, seems like Swedish darts is in a really good place right now, but what players do you see making an impression maybe 2 or 3 years down the line that we don't really know about at the moment?
Yeah, we have a few players that, of course, Andreas Dirty Harrison is doing well on the modus all the time. But then the youngsters with Anton Östlund and Victor Tingström is doing something special as well. So hopefully they will do something.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for them. Well, Oskar, it's great to get you on the show. Thanks for giving us some of your time, and we wish you and Jeffrey all the best at the World Cup of Darts next week.
Thanks for having me.